Let's talk about stealthing. Hi, my name is Dr. Natalie Jones. I've spent many years working with men and women who are perpetrators and victims of abuse. I had a commenter ask me, you know, a question about stealthing. She says, I went through stealthing last year for the first time at my big age, what left me not wanting to interact ever again sexually. Can you talk about why this happens, because it didn't make sense to me. And then she goes on. So first of all, stealthing, for those of you who don't know, is the act of a man removing a condom during sexual intercourse with a woman without that woman knowing about it and without that woman's consent. So the one woman, and this could be done while, in a number of positions, normally doggy style or something like that. And then he just sort of, slips his penis out and slips the condom off and then puts it back in. And she does not know that he's done this. And I've worked with a number of people who this has happened with over the years. And I just want to tell you, and I've also worked with, in police departments and other things like that, in sexual assault units. And so just to inform you that this is illegal. It is sexual assault. My first recommendation would be to inform the police, because it is a crime. Stealthing is a crime because they did it without your knowledge and without your consent. So that is a crime that someone can be charged for. I've worked with people to educate the police department. And sometimes police departments don't know, and some of them have never heard of it before. Because they don't know. And sometimes I've worked with attorneys that don't know particular laws around certain things. So it's always good to know your research. But this is a legal thing. Google it. For all of my people that want to know more about it, but Google it. It is illegal. In some states are a little bit more heavy-handed with penalties than others, but you could certainly get restraining orders and things like that. I always say that once you become, there's a number of ways you can handle it. Like, some of the people that I've worked with personally and helping them to understand and to advocate, some of them have wanted to confront the person directly. If you feel safe enough to do that, I'm going to defer to you to do that, because you know them better than I do. But again, a person who does this is pathological. I also think that people who do stealthing like this have done it before. So you're probably not their first rodeo that they've done this with. And they do stealthing because they don't care what you say. They want to have unprotected sex. They also want to get away with doing something that you don't consent to. So it's akin to rape or sexual assault. They get, the thrill comes from them doing something against your consent or without your knowledge. Very similar to drugging you or having sex with you while you're unconscious. It falls along those lines. So it is a crime. So just know that whenever you confront someone like this, they are pathological. And so they're not, there's a good chance that they're not going to admit to it. They damn sure don't see anything is wrong with it. So the only thing that they're really going to respond to, in my opinion, is something that is punitive. And even then, I've worked in with some cases where people start to want to have more contact with you, after you've confronted them and things like that. And so, just be careful with the whole confrontation thing. But report it to the police department if you haven't showered or done anything. But even if you have, I defer to the police. But I don't recommend showering or things like that. Go to the hospital and get like a SART exam is what I'm trying to say, if it's within that time frame. But if a month or 2 months or years have passed, then or a month or so, or if a length of time has passed, then just start with the police. Do what you can to file a restraining order. And you could file it a typical restraining order, or you can do what's called a civil restraining order if you have the means to hire an attorney. The other thing would be to definitely make sure that you're getting counseling for yourself. So get some support, get some counseling, and talk about it, because they're, you just kind of want to talk to someone. Sometimes without knowing it, I've worked with a number of women, and sometimes without even recognizing the pattern, sometimes women continue, even though partners may change, their partners are basically sexual predators. Even though they might look good, they might have on a suit, have a great job, and things like that, it is still possible for a partner to be a sexual predator. And there are a lot of them that walk around free. And the reason that stealthers walk around free is because a lot of times women, by the time they find out, they're ashamed, or they didn't know that it was illegal to do that, or they fawn, right? And I've done videos on fawning, but they're just non-confrontational, they're people pleasers, or something like that. Even though they don't agree with it, they don't really quite know how to handle it. But my advice to you would be to confront them or leave them alone. At the very least, leave them alone and move on, because if they've done that without your consent, it doesn't get any better from there. And one of the things I noticed about your comment was I went through stealthing last year for the first time at my big age. So that really stuck out to me. And the reason that stuck out to me is because you're not actually ever supposed to go through that. And so that's never supposed to happen, and it should never happen to you again. Remember, for anybody who watches me, your body is your temple, and you should always have consent. It doesn't matter if you're married, it doesn't matter if you're partnered or whatever. You should always be able to give consent, and no one should really be having sex with you or doing anything to you or to your body without your consent. So you need to know what you're consenting to. And in this day and age, I've also seen it where people know that they have an STI, and they're wanting to be vindictive or calculating and do stuff like stealthing and pass that on. So remember, the woman's body and female organs are very precious, and it only takes one time to catch an illness or to catch something for that to be forever messed up. And I'm speaking from experience. So don't take stuff like this lightly, because it should be a four alarm thing going off in your mind. Like, that's not okay. He's not okay. And he's very sadistic to do that. I don't care how calm he sounds, how he smiles, or how he looks, or any of that kind of stuff. The other thing that I would recommend talking about with a professional is, learning how to be more assertive in your sex life, and learning how to have a conversation about what you're okay with. And sometimes, this is not to be derogatory towards anybody or anything like that, because I'm not judging you for that. We've all made mistakes in the bedroom. But you have to be your own biggest advocate. When you're laying down with someone and your clothes aren't on, we're not here with you. But, I want you to be your own biggest advocate, and never, ever feel any type of way or, ashamed or guilty. He's sticking his penis in you. And I hate to be that graphic, but remember, he's doing this to you. So be your own biggest advocate. Be unapologetic about it too. And if you need to cuss him out and get him on his way, then do what you need to do. But be your biggest advocate, and always, always, always protect yourself. Never, ever lay down with someone who doesn't respect you sexually. There's a bigger issue, and that person's always a predator. Hope this helps. Thanks for asking.